Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Doug Blake and Corey Ritter from Body Design University. We are here ready to make personal trainer talk happen for this week. It is Wednesday, 2:00. Doug, we're on time. How about that? Crazy. So we have an incredible lineup again. We had a couple of questions also that we missed last week that were really good that we want to try and hit this week. But it's time for personal trainer talk. We are here to answer your questions. Doug, I cannot believe that we're less than 2 weeks away, not even like a week and a couple of days away from our next live course.
I know, it's crazy.
So for those of you that don't know, Doug and I run a personal training certification school in Atlanta, Georgia. We are the two main instructors of the course, and we have it every 2 months. Our next course is coming up in less than 2 weeks. We'll have a group of personal trainers come in from all over the country that just want additional training when it comes to the science and the business of personal training. But what we'd like to do during these talks each week is just kind of talk a little bit about, the business of personal training, see if we can help, see if we can answer some questions. We ask folks every week to send us in questions, and we get lists of questions every week. And we also we really welcome people to join us on this live somewhere. Where you're watching this on our page, you can click the link and watch us. You can tune in. You could also click the link. We'll let you into the group and we'll answer your question live. Now, with that being said, we know that we can't reach everyone and we know that we can't answer every question, but we don't want you to know that we appreciate the questions that are coming in. Sometimes we get duplicates and we got to merge them together. But Doug, Mr. Blake, how are you doing? So doing here in great. Georgia, it is the last week, the temperatures really dropped, and they're saying tomorrow like 100% chance of rain. But I think the most exciting thing is that the Atlanta Braves are in the World Series, and last night they won Game 1, and and for the first time in history, and I hope somebody can confirm this, but for the first time in history of any World Series, I don't know how long. I mean, I guess the World Series has been going on since Babe Ruth, but the first batter, which happened to be an Atlanta Brave, hits a home run.
Wow.
And they won, I think it was 6-2, 6-1, but
who are they playing?
Yeah. The Houston, are you serious right now? The Houston Astros. Me and some clients and people were talking about this, and I've got a Braves hat and it's more than 5 years old. Okay. And I've got a Braves shirt and it's more than 10 years old. So I think that kind of.
Wow. That takes care of it then.
So, are you going to watch any of the games?
No, I'm just
not too.
I mean, I don't want to say I don't have any interest in it, but I just don't have any interest in it. So, but that's cool. That's good.
I'll keep you updated.
Just keep me up to date.
I'm going to watch the recaps. These games are 3 hours long, so
I don't know. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just watching the recaps in the morning, the next day. But so it's been cold here. What's the temperature like in Florida?
Dude, it cooled off just a little bit down here. Just a little bit. I think it was down in the lower 70s, low 7, something like that.
Wow. All right, big guy. We've got a big lineup. So I know you've got this list of questions. So we'll go back.
I do.
Are you ready to get started?
Dude, I am. I'm ready to go.
You're born ready, aren't you?
And we got some really good questions here, and I got them. See, I'm a tech guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's funny that you say that you're the tech guy. I like the old school. I just like paper. Like Johnny is awesome.
This is about as ironic as it gets. I'm using tech and you're using old school.
Yeah. I think if he emailed this to me, and I think he has, I think that's why he's like defaulted and like printed these up, because I think he's emailed them and I was like, hey, can you print them off? So Johnny, thank you. I know he's really busy today with some projects that he's working on for the end of the month stuff, but let's get started. Okay. We've got a lot to get through. So Frank Owens, if you are out there, you are up first. My man. Okay. So are there any diets that are better than others? Are there any diets that are better than others? So as a personal trainer asking, are there any diets better than others? I've got some thoughts beyond that, but Doug, how would you respond to that for him from a scientific standpoint?
Yeah, there's you know what the best diet is? You know what the best diet is?
Mm-mm.
It's the one that works.
Mm.
And it's the one that works for the long term, for the not for the short burning muscle fat type of scenario, but I mean, sure. Are there any diets that are better? Yeah, every diet, every quote diet out there has particular problems and issues associated with it. Even the word diet itself is a problem. We try not to even to use the word itself if we don't have to, as a short-term method to lose weight. So if you use the word diet as a short-term method to lose weight, then it's no bueno. We don't even want to have anything to do with it. So any quote diet out there that's being marketed as some way or special way to lose weight, either quickly or whatever the case is simply not the way we want to go. So the quote diets or eating patterns that are more in line with the way human physiology works, which is consistency, multiple meals during the day for an extended periods of time. Those tend to be the lifestyle type of nutritional plans that we would recommend, and that are probably going to be better than the stock marketed diets that are out there.
Frank, so I hope you're paying attention. Look, the first thing is, Doug hit it right on the money. First thing I would do is remove diet from your vocabulary. I really would. In all my years, I think 20, I can't even believe it's 22 years in the personal training industry. I've tried not to ever use that word, because the association that people have with that word is restriction, right? So diet generally means, in most people, restriction. And there's these false associations that people make with getting fit. And that's one of them. The reality is, we all know nutrition plays the biggest role. And when we are working to change the body, the way that we feel and the way that we look, we know that nutrition plays about 80% of the role and exercise plays about 20%. And, when we talk about doing diets and somebody thinks diet, they're thinking that they have to restrict to look or feel better. That's not true. In most cases, I've had my clients eat more and more frequently than they had previously. But that association with the typical diet, because diets generally restrict things. So if you go on a diet like Atkins, you're cutting out all carbs. If you're going on a diet like Sugar Busters, you're cutting the sugars. If you're going on a diet like, the South Beach diet, all these diets that were so popular, the problem with most of them is this: not only that you restrict, macronutrients, protein, carbs, or fats, one of those is generally restricted. It's that you can't stick on it forever. So the general diet is restricting, and you can't stick on it forever. So after, 3-4 months of losing some weight, you can't stick it on it anymore. So then you go back to your normal eating habits. And what do you think happens? So I can talk about this forever. Literally, Frank, there are no good diets. There just aren't. There's just no good diets out there. I mean, technically, I think if we looked up the definition, Doug can confirm this, that it probably just means like a certain way of eating. But the problem is that because the industry, the marketing and diet industry has used it to sell and create restrictions, the true meaning of diet has changed because the perception of the association with the word. So with all that being said, okay, Doug hit it right on the money. We want to create a lifestyle for people. Write these 3 things down. You get these 3 things down correct, and you could almost help anyone achieve anything. Okay. Really simple. Starting off, what we have found in the last 20 years is that, and everyone is different. If they weren't, okay, there would be one plan for everyone. So everyone's a little different, but by and large, for the entire general population, what we have found is that a 40-30-30 has been incredibly successful long term, and that's the ratio of macronutrients. Okay, so as long as you help your clients not diet but eat a lifestyle meal plan, like Doug has mentioned, we like to refer to eating habits as creating a meal plan or doing meal prep. That's not restricting. It's just meal planning or meal prep. But if you do these three things, if you get to their caloric need by making sure that you measure their basal metabolic rate, their activity level, and the thermic effect of food, and you can determine their accurate caloric need, and then you make sure that they take in those calories throughout the day. Okay, so they hit their caloric need. Secondly, that they take in the right frequency throughout the day. So they're consuming those meals through, all that food through about 6 meals frequently throughout the day to stabilize the blood sugar level, try to help eliminate cravings and create good energy. And lastly is, so the ratio of macronutrients, which I already mentioned, the 40-30-30. So how much, when, and what? How much, when, and what? And you create a meal plan for them. And that's what I would recommend. So I wouldn't point you to any diet. I will tell you that there are some diets out there that are, if you just didn't give them a name, they're healthy eating plans and they work really well. But in some of those plans are 40-30-30. So, Doug, I think you hit it on the money. Anything else with what diets are better than others?
It's such a broad topic. It's such a broad topic, nutrition in and of itself, that it's too difficult to encapsulate all the information in a short period of time. But basically, what we're saying is that you can help individuals, because the question assumes certain things. Remember, we get lots of questions, don't we? We get so many questions. And questions are important because they have presuppositions behind them. So when somebody asks about what's the best nutrition, what's the best way to train, there are presuppositions behind those questions. And anything with nutrition is always presupposing that there's a good or better way in the short term or systematically to help people do what? Achieve whatever results they want to achieve. Those are the presuppositions, is that I can create a nutritional eating plan, a diet that's going to help me achieve the goals I want to achieve. That's the presupposition behind questions like this. And those are normal assumptions or presuppositions. So yeah, that's basically what we're dealing with, is that if you can get people to eat consistently according to what their predicted caloric need is going to be, more than likely, you're going to rev up their metabolic rate back to where it should be, or where it is predicted to be. That's why those predictive equations are very helpful, because people should be consuming 2,200 calories. According to all the data, this person should be, but they're not. We know that. We know most people are simply not eating up to their basic caloric need, so that we understand that their metabolism has been sacrificed, slowed down. And that's kind of the idea, is that we want to rev that metabolic rate back up. So, see?
Yeah. So Frank, again, look, really simple. Just think of it this way. There's all these diets out there, hundreds of them. Ignore them all. Throw them in the trash. They don't exist. There's an eating plan that you want to follow. It's really simple. Just like we talked about, you can use the profile 40-30-30. You can make sure that they're hitting their calories, protein, carbs, fats, and their frequency. You do those things, you'll help them lose body fat. That's just it. I've worked with clients over the years, helping people lose 100 pounds of body fat, 15 pounds of body fat in a certain period, or, all these different goals. And I've used that profile and that plan for over 20 years. With direct results. And we're getting results every single week with clients that follow that type of eating regimen. So when answering your question, I would just say, look, there's tons of them. There's hundreds of them out there. Throw them all in the trash. Okay. And just focus on a healthy eating plan. And what we just mentioned is probably the best way to go.
Yep.
Okay. So what do we got next?
I got one for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Are
you ready?
I'm ready.
This is an interesting one.
Okay.
I like this one. This is from Nancy Sanchez. She is from Chicago, Illinois. What's up, Nancy? Great question. Interesting question. What is the best way to, quote, break up with a business partner without there being any chaos?
Oh my God. That is a wow.
Nancy.
That is a great question, huh?
Yeah. The best way to, quote, break up with a business partner without there being any chaos. Wow.
Yeah. Look, here's this is what I will tell you is that, going into business with somebody, especially when there's money involved, or anything else that's, kind of emotional, but let's just say money in this case for business deal. People can't think straight. They think too much and they use their emotions too much, and the emotions control them. And sometimes they don't mean to respond the way that they do, but they do because, they have there's all kinds of issues. And so first I would say, I'm going to help you pre-handle this. Okay. That would be my goal for most trainers listening to this call right now. In this talk is that don't go into a partnership. Like, think long and hard, think very long and very hard about going into a partnership. If the person's only bringing money to the table, they should be silent. That's my belief. If they're bringing money to the table and that's it, they should be silent. They're a silent investor partner. That's totally different. Okay. And we can talk about how to break that up, but there should generally be terms. But if you're talking about working together with somebody, if that person brings something that you don't have and you bring something that they don't have, and it's just a really good synergy, and you're both putting in the same amount of time and effort, you're both putting in the same amount of capital and cash, and you're going in this together as a partnership, where they're making an investment, you're making an investment. You just got to think long and hard to make sure that you check those boxes, that basically that you can really feel you guys working together, that you do work well. You can listen to each other. You can help each other. The two, or three or four, however many, are going to create more than, one. But if you know yourself and that's the other thing is, like, for some people, if you're very controlling, it's probably not a good scenario for you to get into a partnership. If you're very laid back, it's probably also not a good idea for you to get into a partnership. Because, generally speaking, if you're very controlling and want to make all the decisions, well, somebody's going to have some feedback. And when they put money in the game, guess what? They put their time in the game, they get to have a say. And, that's the way it is. And you got to be cool with that. And if that's the case, then great. On the flip script is that if you're very laid back and you have ideas or thoughts, but this other person might take the leadership, you have to feel very confident in that person, because if you don't speak up or you don't voice your concerns, and you got your money in it and time and energy, and hopefully they're respectful to those, all kinds of issues can be created for you too. So it's got to be like a really, really good fit. I will tell you from personal experience that I had a business partner when I started Body Design long ago. Great guy, and very sharp. He brought he brought knowledge to the table at that time that I needed. And he was a very hard worker. We worked 80 hours a week, the two of us, side by side. I mean, literally, we were working around the clock. We woke up, we worked, and we kept working until we went to sleep. We worked every weekend, every night. We showed up at the same office, and basically, we would be there until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's no exaggeration. It was crazy. But we had to do what we had to do to get the company off the ground. We didn't have any money. There was no investment coming in, nothing like that. And, however, what we found is, in that specific scenario, try to make a long story short, is that, we were putting gas on the fire, and, we went from one location, when we came together, and we just like one contract, and we just exploded it to, I think, we were at the time that I dissolved that partnership, or we dissolved that partnership. I think it was, I think we had about 20 locations. We were just in Florida at the time, but we were on our way to Georgia, and that was the thing. And he had a young child. He had another one on the way. He had just gotten married a couple years earlier. I was single, and I'm going fast and furious. I want to grow this thing big, and I see this thing going from, we started in West Palm, we ended up in Orlando, and then I ended up ultimately into Atlanta, where we are today. But he was going to make the move from West Palm to Orlando, but there were some challenges there, with the home front, and so we're talking about, traveling back and forth, and then finally realized that that it just wasn't going to work out, and we came to terms. It took a while. It took probably 2 or 3 months of just calming down, hearing each other. He was a very strong personality like myself, and we had our own thoughts and visions, but we did listen to each other, and we did make some really good moves together, which was really cool. But we didn't agree on the breakup, if you will, for lack of a better word. And for about 2 or 3 months, then we did, and we both felt good about it, and that was it. I bought him out, and he got his payments for his time and effort and moved on down the road to something else. And I continued with the company. And so here we are today, 22 years later. But with that being said, I'm still in touch with him. Every now and then we connect, and he's a great guy. And I don't really like to leave things, not working well, but I'll tell you that it could have easily gone south. I think if we had let the emotions get the best of us, it would have went south, but we didn't. So the only thing I could recommend for you is this: really pre-handle that scenario. Now if you're telling me that you're in a scenario right now, all I can say is that you got to hope that the other person on the other end is willing to listen and to be fair. And that's hard. Not everyone is willing to do that. And especially if they feel, unappreciated, or if they feel that, that their deal is worth more, or they should, whatever the case is. I don't know. There's all different reasons. People feel all different crazy reasons. But if you could get them, to the logical point, that's what I would say. When you ask the question, what is the best way to break up, is just kind of sit down and, think back. What I did at that time is I thought back. I think we were together for maybe 2.5 years, something like that. I thought back to day one. And when I brought myself back to day one, I said, look, I wouldn't have done it without him. And then I brought myself back to day one, and I said, we went in this with good intent. So if you're in a scenario where it's not a good scenario because of, you're just not working well. Now, me and my partner at the time, we did bump heads a little bit, but that's not why we split. We split because we were moving. We moved from one location to, like I said, Orlando, and we were going to continue to move, and he needed to travel all over, and that just wasn't going to happen. So with that being said, I think that if you can take yourself back to when you first started, and remember that you went back, you both went in there with good intent, and you just try to make it fair. And this is what I'll tell you. If you end up in litigation, okay, so if you do a breakup and you end up in some type of litigation, that's a big mistake, and sometimes you can't avoid it because the person on the other end, and it could be you. I don't know. It could be you. But the reality is that the litigation could cost you more time, energy, and money than just coming to terms. And that's what I saw at that time. I saw the possibility of me and my first partner going into litigation. I was not going to let that happen. I didn't want it to happen. He didn't want it to happen. But we knew that it was both possible because we both secured attorneys pretty quickly. Okay. And we were in conflict. But we came to terms, and we did it ourselves without attorneys. We literally met, sat down, had lunch. We put things aside, and we did it, and we came to an agreement, and that's that. So with all that being said, try to pre-handle it. Try to go back to day one. And if you feel it's unfair, I promise you, just move on down the road. Let it be unfair. Let pay them more than it's worth, or if you're breaking up and you're leaving, take less and just move on down the road, start over. It's so much easier, so much faster. If you have to deal with litigation for 2 years and, thousands of dollars, it's not worth it. It's just not. I'd rather just cut my losses and start over. If at that time I said to myself, I said, look, if this does go south and I got to start from zero, can I do this? And the answer to myself was yes, I can do this no matter what the deal is. So I did a deal that worked out. I didn't have a ton of cash at the time, but we made arrangements and everything worked out. It worked out. So I hope that helps. I'm sorry, that's all I can recommend, but those are my thoughts on that. Doug, I know, me and you've talked a little bit about, different partnerships and, how people come in. I do have another quick story where somebody came in, they made an investment at a time that I was running the business and I needed money bad. I needed capital. It was a challenging situation. And at that point, I had a couple $1 million a year business and they invested like $20,000 and they started acting like they were the owner. It was unbelievable how people act, so I don't know, but the best deals I've ever done have been on a handshake. That's the reality. I mean, they really are. The best deals is that I've done a deal with somebody where, I just felt good about it. They felt good about it. We didn't even draft. I've literally done deals over $100,000 where there was no contract involved and we shook hands and those ended up being the best. The ones where you have all this fine print and all these contracts, look, man, that paper is not going to, it's not going to do it. It's being fair and working together. So look,
I just hope,
I hope that's helpful.
I hope with Nancy, it's, something that's not going to be too devastating. Breaking up's always hard, isn't it? Yes,
man.
Is it always hard?
In business, people don't realize it. It's like a marriage too. It really is because you put your heart into your business. You put all your money into your business. Doug, come on, tell me how do you feel about this?
Yeah. And I mean, the issue is, of course, this is after the fact, but you made the point, which is really the seminal point, which is that you've got to pre-handle it. And that's really that's the best way you can avoid it. But once you're in it, I don't know. Again, breaking up's not the issue. It's the last part, which was without there being any chaos. I'm not sure you have control over that, Nancy, if that's the case.
Let me give you a fun fact, okay? And I'm sorry that this is the case, but think of it as a marriage. I think about 50% of marriages fail, right? Give or take. There's about, I think they said 10 to 15% of them that end up in very serious litigation. 10 to 15. So 35% of the people that do break up are level-headed enough just to, move on down the road. But 10 to 15% of them, they like have to get revenge and they have to, they're hurt and now they want to do it. Well, guess what? It's the same in business. Just know it's probably these are the same humans that exist on this planet. So if you take your time, just like you would when you pick a partner, make sure that the partner's the right, and it's not always going to work out. And if it doesn't, just pray that you didn't pick a partner that's one of those 10 to 15%. because if you did, man, I talked to somebody dear to me the other night about business, and they were talking about, these litigations and copyright infringement and all these things. It just happens, people, once they feel like you're making money or they're making money and they're not making too much, things go haywire. They just do. Yeah. So just pick the right partner, take your time. That's all I can recommend for you, Nancy, and try to exit it and move on down the road. Just cut your losses, wish them well. Because remember, it's the same person that you decided to go into the business with. Even if they wronged you, don't hold on to that. Wish them well, and then wish yourself well and go on down the road. That's my best recommendation. I hope it helps. Okay. Wow. I'm going to, let's jump on this next one. So should I eat before a morning workout or go fasted? Man, great question.
David Smith. Hey, he's from Fort Lauderdale.
You know what you should do? You should give the example of me and you.
Oh man, isn't that I right? am
can you do that? Like I took so much time to answer that last question that didn't need to. Can you
What time
Get
is
us
it?
ahead.
4:30 already? No.
Can you get us ahead of the schedule with this one?
The answer is do whatever is most comfortable for you, David. Do whatever works for you, to be honest with you.
Simple.
Next question. No, look, the
Right.
answer is
No.
you do what works best for you. If you're asking a question based on the flavor of the month issue of, well, if I train when I'm fasted, then I'm going to increase growth hormone levels, so I'll burn body fat, blah, blah, blah. The answer to that is yes, I can give you all the endocrinological points to consider when you do increase activity levels without any food in your stomach or with a low glycemic control when you go into training. So if you want to fast and you feel like it gives you fat burning, or you feel like I do with more energy, I don't fast before I train for any other reason than that I just simply feel better when I don't have food in my stomach. Corey and I will literally, after a day of teaching, he'll eat 1,500 calories of anything he can get his gropey little hands on, because he can't train without food in his stomach. So he can't train fasted. In fact, I'm concerned anyway, because
I'm an animal.
He can't. He simply must have. Because that's his unique physiology. Can I tell him the story real quick of my of the buddy that I used to train with powerlifting when I used to many years ago?
Hey, look, if you're gonna say that about me, you better tell him that you can't have anything.
I used to train way back when in West Palm Beach with a good friend of mine. He was very strong, and we were doing powerlifting at the time. So we would train at 5:30 in the morning, and I simply can't have anything in my stomach. So if we're doing very, very heavy lifting, obviously we were powerlifting, and this training partner of mine was very, very strong. And so we would come in together, train, whether it was squats, deadlifts, or bench pressing, whatever we were training that day. And I asked him, I said, what normally what are you eating? Because, you damn strong as hell. And he said he would eat a pound of roast beef at 5 a.m, a pound of roast beef.
You can't make this stuff up.
He ate a pound of roast beef early in the morning before we worked out. So that was literally 15 to 20 minutes before we trained.
Who does that?
On the other hand, I had a cup of coffee, and that was all I could. But I have what's known as good glycemic control. So my blood sugar levels are very well stabilized, even when I don't have food going through my upper GI, my upper gastrointestinal tract. So what we do know is that an individual, for instance, like Corey, may not have the same level of glycemic control. So he needs to have food constantly in his GI, in his gastrointestinal tract, in order to feel comfortable and maintain appropriate levels of blood sugar. And so that's really the only difference as far as the whole train on an empty stomach to burn body fat. Come on, guys. Come on, let's get real.
Here's what I'll tell you. I don't know if it made a big difference, but I would have my clients do cardio on an empty stomach on their off days. I don't know if it made any difference at all. Honestly, I don't think it did, but it may have. And the thought behind that was what? It's really pretty simple. You wake up in the morning, you fasted, so you have little sugar or glycogen left, and you start doing your cardio, you burn that off, and then because you're in an aerobic state, you can start using fat as a source of energy. This is the whole concept behind it, versus if you had eaten something, you would use that as a source of energy. At the end of the day, look, Doug hit it right on the money. Just do whatever makes you feel best during the workout. That's the hands down, whatever you feel best. And I can't eat right before a workout. It's not like I guess technically I can eat, but I don't want a full stomach before a workout. I want some fuel in me. And that's really it. But Doug, if we
But let's assume David now you 20 years ago, me 35 years ago, you're asking me these same questions and I'm at 11% body fat or I'm at 9% body fat. Now, David's question, if he asks me over in this arena and says, Doug, should I train on an empty stomach, like you said, for my cardio, because I'm trying to go from 10% to 9.5%. See, now you see where the information that we have received through research and through watching athletes has confused people. When you're at 9% body fat and you're trying to lose 0.5%, which is what you're probably trying to do, then sure, that is an available tool that could actually help assist somebody move down that extra 0.5%, as long as everything else is taken into
Dialed
account.
in. Yeah.
But when you're at 20% body fat,
that's like, you know what that's like, Doug? It's very similar to like these folks that are taking all the pre-workout, right? And I know a lot of people take the pre-workout. Why would you be taking pre-workout if your macros and your calories are not dialed in? Like if your core nutrition is not dialed in, like if you help your clients with that, first, I would hope that you don't recommend pre-workout to your clients, but the thought of somebody recommending pre-workout and not having the clients like nutrition dialed in, and people do it all the time. I know folks that are taking pre-workout in the gyms, and they're, they should be consuming, let's just say 180 grams of protein. They're taking in, 100, 50, whatever. And they're like, I'm taking this pre-workout so I can lift harder and I can build more muscle. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And then
okay, let's
create it. Yes, it's
yes. All right. What's this next one? Let's see here. We've got how do I attract
the top,
you got this one?
Yeah. How do I attract the top trainers in town to work for me? Ooh, how apropos.
Yeah, man, how do you define the top trainers?
Ooh.
That's is it the way that they look? They look like models and they're fit. Is it how many clients they can bring into the gym? Are they, they're just the top salesperson? Is it how good their workout is? Like, do they put out a really good workout? When we say top trainer, man, there's top trainers in town. You're saying all of those things. The top trainers generally are like, they're great at sales and marketing. They're great at exercise programming. They're great at, providing incredible service and all these things. So, I think that saying of being the top attracts the top. So if you're a top trainer, people want to work with you. So, top trainers want to work with you because they can learn from you and they can pick up. But so I think what we put out there is what we kind of get back. And I'll tell you right now, because we're recruiting right now, and I don't know what it is, but Doug, can I share any of the recruiting stuff? I mean,
go for it.
Look, how do I attract? I mean, I don't even know. I'm wondering, like, if people really want to work nowadays. Like, the workforce is, really. I mean, we've had interviews scheduled, many of and folks that are either NASM ACE or have an accredited certification, and they reach out to us asking for a job, applying for a job, and we let them know that we appreciate their interest in all these things, and they tell us how excited they are about the opportunity, and they're not even showing up for their interviews. Like, they have scheduled interviews to come in for a job. Some of these folks might not have been employed for a couple months, some of them 6 months, and they don't come in to a scheduled interview for a really good opportunity. And so with that being said, look, this has always been the number one challenge, period. And if you ask any business owner that has a staffed company, not like a 2 or 3 person team, but like they provide a service where they need team members, they'll tell you from the day that they've started their business until today, however long they've been in business, their number one challenge is recruiting top talent. And it's never going to go away. But I really believe this. In my over 20 years now, it's become more challenging, to say the least. No question about it. So I think for everyone out there that's tuning in and considering our programming, getting a quality education and getting a accredited certification, that's going to help you for sure. There's no question about it. But the way that I would recommend attracting the top talent is just by making sure that you're practicing like the top. Like they come into your facility and they feel like it's a top ran facility, that they have a top level opportunity. So there's just those little boxes. But I think in general, it's very difficult out there. So just know that, Patricia, if you're having a challenge recruiting people, we understand, and it's not going away. You just gotta you just gotta keep at it, stay committed to your recruiting process, and don't settle. That's all I can recommend. If you do settle, it's usually a big mistake, because what happens is in 2 or 3 months down the road, after they've gotten, it doesn't end up working out, and now you're starting back over. So I would just say, just make sure you take your time to get to know the person, and that they are in fact top talent. But the way that we have always rated the top trainers are the ones that get the best results, period. They can sell, great. They can do exercise programming, great. But if they can actually get somebody to coach them through change, those are, in our opinion, the top trainers. As long as they're accredited, they have a good, knowledge base and all that good stuff. They have to be able to get good results. That's what people are paying for the service. So
delivering coaching, man, delivering coaching. That is probably the key.
Okay. Mr. Blake, what's next?
Wow. This is a good one. It says, this is from Jeff from Auburn, Alabama. It says, I am a football athlete and I have sometimes 2-a-day workouts. Got it. Or high volume trainings, and I don't like eating much. Okay, wow. Do I really need to have recovery nutrition?
See, asking us a personal question. What's going on, Jeff? Look, just hire us. We'll be your trainers. Well,
Jeff, I don't understand the whole
help
thing.
Him out.
I don't understand. I don't like eating too much. So, So both my daughter's boyfriends are athletes. One is he was college football. Nadia's boyfriend, college football up at West Point, and Gabby's boyfriend is a swimmer, collegiate swimmer. So both athletes. It doesn't matter if you're a football athlete or whatever the case is. I know, of course, as we, July, August, generally college football. Yeah, 2 per days, of course. Some of these guys, and I've looked at I've worked with their nutritional plans, up to 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day, depending on the size of the athlete. Generally, linemen up to 300 pounds and above, 2 per days in heat, are consuming anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 to 9,000 calories a day to maintain body weight. And so if you don't like to eat, you got to drink it. You don't have an option. And what I normally will tell an athlete is, you do whatever you want to do. I don't care. If you don't want to recover from your workouts, that's your business. The only reason you have proper nutrition and effective recovery is because you actually want to be good at what you do. Otherwise, you're simply going to suffer. Remember, from an athletic standpoint, you know what way I feel about this, because I've dealt with athletes. Most of my training is, you're just a machine. I don't care what you like to do, and I don't care what you feel about what you do. You're just a machine, which means whether you like to eat or not, you simply eat. You don't have a choice. Not if I'm training you. So when it comes to issues related to athletics, you don't have a choice. Depending on the size of the, Jeff, depending on how big you are, I'm just saying, you're at 4 or 5 minimum 1,000 calories a day. And if you can't get it through eating food, which I get it, then you have to generally consume it in shakes. What we do know is that some of the larger athletes, the 250, 260, 270 and above, the physical amount of food that they would have to consume to get those requisite number of calories is is a challenge in a healthy macro way. In other words, you're not at 40-30-30 anymore.
Right.
That's when things like that's when macro profiles that we talk about are no longer applicable, because you simply cannot consume that many calories. And then of course your protein consumption would be significantly too high anyway. Now your fat consumption generally goes up, and you see there's that balance now between healthy eating patterns and just survival. So if you don't like eating much, do you really need to? The answer to the last part of your question is, of course, you have to have a recovery nutrition. That's not the question. The question is, how are you going to get the food in your body? Right. Normally, it's going to be shakes, and normally it's going to be higher fat percentages. So with larger collegiate football players, just for instance, 275, 280 and above, you're no longer at a 40% carb, 30 protein, 30 fat. You're basically going to be at anywhere between 15% protein, and then you're going to balance the rest out with generally higher fat intake, so you can consume requisite amounts of calories with less amount of food. Remember, at some point, the total protein load tops out. So you don't need any more protein. The rest of those calories are going to come in the form of carbs and, of course, fats, because they provide significantly more calories per gram. That's what they're going to be eating. I mean, come on, you've seen some of these diets. Dude, you've seen some of these diets, right, that these guys are on.
Yeah, I mean, look, Doug, give them an example, like, whoa, hey,
oh, easy,
got
easy.
A little fail. Give them an example, like draw it on your desk, how much food that would actually look like.
Oh my, are you serious? Wow. Let me, I'll give you a perfect example of a, let's say
I don't think people can appreciate how much food it actually is.
A 200, I'll give you an example of, say, a 280-pound lineman, or, tackle or guard, whatever, 280, maybe 300 pounds. But if you think about, well, let me do it this way.
Dude, no. Just with your hands. Just
if you were to
show them on your desk how much food that is.
Those guys typically, if you were just to use 5 ounce or 6, remember, they're not eating 4 ounce chicken, they're eating 5 to 6 ounce chicken breasts. That's going to be roughly 6 or 7 of those chicken breasts. So imagine 5-6 ounce chicken breasts
a day.
That's just for the protein. That's a day. A good way to think about carbohydrates. I got my cup here. Imagine oatmeal. That would be roughly 1.5 cups to 2 cups of cooked oatmeal. They'd have to eat the equivalent of about 7 or 8 of these per day, just to get the requisite number of carbohydrates, if not even a little bit more. Another example would be number of potatoes that a 300-pound lineman would have to eat. If it was just potatoes, now that's normally not, but just potatoes, they'd have to eat medium to a relatively large potato. They'd have to eat 7 of those, 6 or 7 of those. That's, you understand?
That's the crazy thing.
If not even, and then of course that doesn't include the fat. Right. Now remember, that's what it is. And
then beating him up now. At this point, you're just beating him up. Okay, I mean, he's already feeling bad about himself, not eating enough. And
Jeff,
but Jeff,
call me,
dial it in.
Come on, man. Come on.
Okay, all right. So let's move on. We've got a question from Becky Watson in New Orleans, Louisiana. She is asking, let's see, should I have 6 months of living expenses saved in order to open up my gym? Oh, man, 6 months. I just, I'll be honest with you, Becky. All the textbooks say you should do this, you should do that. But I love reading. I read every night almost before I go to bed. And I love reading stories about other entrepreneurs and other businesses and startups and stuff like that. And I will tell you that I've never heard any of them say that they followed anything that was in the textbooks. The stories that generally are successful are like people that have nothing, and they have passion, they have fire, they have ambition, they have drive. Now, I'm not telling you not to have any money. You got to be able to make ends meet, but you do it by commerce. You do it by creating sales and providing a product and the service and look, maybe you should have 2 years. I don't think there's the right answer to this, really. I can't tell you, yes, you should have 6 months of living expenses. I'll tell you this much. When I started body design, and we kind of partnered up and took off, I think that I probably had, a couple of years in my account at that time, but it just so happened because I came out of corporate America after 5 years, and I was saving, and I had a 401k, but I put it all on the table. Like I literally cashed out my 401k to be where I am today. I literally cashed out my 401k, which is one of the stupidest things you can ever do, because today it would be probably worth $1 million. Okay. But I'd venture to say that the value in my companies are probably worth more. So with that being said, I'm not the right person to answer that. I would like to give you security and say, yes, have 6 months. At that time, that's where I was. I will tell you that there's been many times after that where we got the bank accounts to zero, okay, or even in the negative. And it's like a constant challenge that, as long as you have the product, the service, the fire, the will to make it happen, you're gonna make it happen. That's really it. I really can't say. I know that, again, the textbooks are saying, have 6 months. Look, you should have 6 months, period. Even without starting a gym, you should have 6 months. I mean, that's like, I don't know, listen to Dave Ramsey. But look, this is what I'll tell you is, when you have the fire, you cannot not start your business. So when it comes time to start the business, you're going to have certain feelings like, okay, I could do this. I can make ends meet. I can do this. If I work hard, I know I can do this. Like they want my service. They want it for the price that I'm charging. And here are my expenses, and I can make ends, and is it always perfect? No. And are you going to run into challenges? Yes. They don't, honestly, they don't go away. So, everyone's risk tolerance is also different. For you, maybe to make level-headed decisions, you need to have 6 months. Maybe you need to have 2 years. I don't know. Some people, I found myself in a scenario at one point where, basically somebody had literally put a noose around their neck, I felt, because of the financial commitments they had made. And you can't make really good decisions when you're have a noose around your neck. So you got to make sure that you got a good profitable product that somebody wants to buy, and that your ends at home, which are the most important, are going to be covered. I'm just so thankful that I didn't, at the time that I started launched body design, that there weren't kids at home and all that, because, man, I would have felt so, I don't know. I was already going hard. I would have gone around the clock if I knew that I had to provide, at that time it was just me. I just had to make sure I was covered. But if I had kids and stuff, I would just be like working around the clock to make sure that they never did without. So anyhow, I hope that answers your question. I hope that helps in some way, shape, or form. Your gut is going to tell you what's right for you. And, that's really it. So Doug, what do we got next?
Let's see. Who's this from? This is from Jesus Cruz from Dallas, Texas. And he says, are supplements really needed, or do I just need to make sure to get all my nutrients in a high quality diet? What is the ideal perfect meal? Oh, Jesus.
That's a great question,
man.
Because so many people, they use the supplements as their like nutritional plan. They're like drinking protein shakes all day long, thinking that is, it's a supplement. Like, think about the name, like the definition of supplement. To supplement, like your Doug.
It's in addition to.
Doug, tear that up.
It's in addition to. The answer to the question, are supplements really needed, or do I just need to make sure to get all my nutrients in a high quality diet? The question is, well, what is it that you do? How hard do you train? And is your body not getting the nutrients that it needs? It's a point of contention for many of us, and we sort of have a tug of war with the medical community in many cases, because there will be physicians that will tell you it's a waste of time. Multivitamins and minerals are a waste of time. And then there are other practitioners that will say, no, the quality of the food that we get in our or from our retailers, i.e. Grocery stores, things like that, are simply not the same. Now it's funny because in working on my thesis right now, the amount of research I'm doing, I looked into the RDA's mineral and vitamin content. Most recent data is that the average mineral content now, and again, this is over a number of vegetables and other produce, in some cases are down upwards of 20%, 25, even 30% from 40 years ago. So the carrot, this is the issue. The carrot that you're eating, depending on where it's from, could be roughly 20% lower in certain key minerals and vitamins than the carrots that my mom ate when she was a kid. And that's just due to the soils that this stuff is grown in. Whereas if you buy, this is one of the reasons why we surely profess to buy local, is that for those soils, those areas of agriculture that have not been brutalized by mass commercial single product growth, might have all the vitamins and might not have changed at all. So the answer is I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that have never taken vitamin and mineral supplements, and they're doing fine. And so the answer is we really don't know unless you get an actual blood test for any of the minerals or vitamins. You don't know what your particular nutritional status is. The other thing is that certain vitamins, for instance, are fat soluble. So it's not like you're going to be deficient in those either, because they will be retained in the body much longer than water soluble vitamins. And you and I have spoken about this. It's normally not the vitamins that we're so concerned with. It's minerals, because minerals are inorganic. Remember, the human body can produce a number of vitamins and synthesize B vitamins, for instance, inside the colon. So if you don't consume enough B vitamins in your diet, your large intestines will actually produce B vitamins. Your body will create, it can synthesize organic molecules. It's the inorganic, it's minerals. And this is where the issue is. I'm not so much concerned about vitamin C because I can get it and through certain foods. But if the lettuce or the carrot or the zucchini or the whatever I'm eating came from soil deficient for whatever reason in chromium, magnesium, potassium, so whatever that mineral is, my body can't synthesize minerals because they're inorganic. So I simply don't get them in my diet, and that's where that's kind of where the conversation is at with that. So, what's the ideal perfect meal? You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just.
I think a pepperoni pizza, isn't that the perfect meal?
Oh man, look, it's almost Saturday. Isn't it somewhere?
Hey, Seuss, I don't know what the ideal perfect meal is, but more than likely you can get a lot of your nutrients from the food you eat. But I'll be honest with you, I simply don't trust. That's why I grow my own stuff.
Right. But
try and grow as much of my own stuff as possible.
Here's what I'll tell you in the real world of how this applies as well is that not necessarily as much with the vitamins, minerals with the clients coming in. Most of them are taking that. But, when I ask them what they had for breakfast, protein shake. What'd you have for lunch? Protein shake. What'd you have? So look, protein shakes are great. And is it better to do that than skip? Yes. But the problem is that when we get in a scenario where we're having protein shakes and they're not the protein shakes that, like, for example, Doug and I have where they have all these nutrients inside of them. There are protein shakes where they're just protein shakes with no other real value. And that becomes an issue. So here you are, your body's craving and should have some really complex whole food breakfast, but you're just taking in a protein shake. So is it really needed? It's a supplement. Yes, because people have a struggle getting in most of the time the amount of protein that they need without taking in all these fats and all this sugar and all this other stuff. So supplements, I'm going to recommend yes. But with that being said, the only supplements that Doug and I typically recommend are a good multivitamin, organic multivitamin, and a protein supplement. You know, fish oils, all these other things that are great. There's tons of other great supplements, that glutamine and glucosamine, all these different things that can help for different reasons. But generally speaking, a multivitamin and a protein supplement, but it is a supplement. And if you ask me, like, how much of a role does it play? I would say 10%. Literally, I would say in changing and getting any kind of results, it's about 10%. So it's a very small percentage. Like Doug said earlier, if you don't have your core nutrition dialed in, supplements aren't going to make a difference. Like if you have to get your main nutrition dialed in, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, you have to get those dialed in with good whole foods, real food. And then if you supplement, great, that's fantastic. But don't use supplements as your main meal. And that's what I see most commonly in the real world, you know, with clients. So we've got time.
Let me ask you a question. What do we have going on in Mexico?
Oh, gosh, thank you for bringing that up. So Mexico, for anyone that's listening, that is in the Hispanic community or knows people in Mexico, I'm excited to say that we are working diligently right now to create a new partnership down in Mexico. And it looks like it's going to happen in the next probably few days, maybe a little bit longer, but it looks like we're going to be able to, we're going to bring Body Design University to Mexico. Our entire course has seen great success in the United States, now in Spanish. And we want to offer that directly in Mexico. So we're in conversations right now with several prospective candidates to become our partner down there, which means that if you know somebody from Mexico or you're from Mexico and you want to share the word, just let them know Body Design University is coming to Mexico. It's going to be a big deal. And that should take place, like I said, pretty quickly. Then last real quick question I'll say, because I can answer this really quick. Dave from Dalton, because we skipped him, I think, last week. Dave from Dalton, he is asking Dave Dalton from Nashville, Tennessee is asking, how much cash should I be saving for my business? I have no idea how much cash should be. What kind of business? Dave, click the link next. Come on here and talk with us. Tell me, what kind of business? Is it a studio? Is it an online business? Do you want a small studio? Do you want a big one? If you ask the question, how much cash should I be saving? More than you will think that you need. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Guys, this is Mr. Doug Blake, Corey Ritter with Body Design University. We are here every week just to help trainers out there, no matter where you're at, no matter what level that you are with your personal training business, whether you're just getting started, you're studying for your exam, or you're running a multi-chain business. We have information that we'd like to help and share with you. We're answering these questions from all over the place every week. If you have a question you'd like to shoot off to us, just send it in. You could send it to info@bodydesignu.com or click the link you'll see somewhere and you'll be able to fill out a form, submit it over to us. Doug, last words.
Oh, wow. You just threw that right at me.
Sorry, we're on a tight schedule.
Get a MyZone and start managing your heart rate when you're training. Heart rate training.
You know what?
Heart rate training.
Doug, you're just brilliant, man. We're going to talk more about that next week, some heart rate training and some motivation that we're seeing from people using MyZone and these other things. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this talk. Thank you for continuing to send us these questions. We love the personal training industry and we love helping personal trainers. So thank you for being here. And we will see you next week. Same time, same place, Wednesday, 2:00 Eastern time. Take care. Have a great week.
See ya.